Hey everyone, welcome back. Financial freedom, it's something we all think about, right? I mean, who wouldn't want it?
Absolutely.
But it can feel like, well, overwhelming. Like, where do you even begin?
Yeah.
So that's what we're diving into today. We're going deep with three absolute giants in the finance world: Tony Robbins, Robert Kiyosaki, and Morgan Housel,
Big names. And for good reason.
right? So we've got Robbins' Money, Master the Game,
Sure.
Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad, a classic, and Housel's The Psychology of Money. Each one tackles this idea of financial freedom, but from different angles.
And that's what makes it so interesting.
Exactly, because where their ideas overlap, that's where things get really insightful.
I agree.
And one of the biggest takeaways that we see across all three is this shift, right? Moving away from thinking like just a consumer to thinking like an investor.
Huge. It's not just about making money, but about understanding what to do with it so that it works hard for you.
And Robbins talks about this, right? Building a money machine.
Yes. Imagine a system where your money is constantly generating more, even while you're asleep.
Yeah.
That's the power of making your money work for you, not the other way around.
Okay, a money machine sounds amazing and all, but how do we actually make one? Do we all need to learn to code and invent the next big app or something?
That's the thing. It's not about getting lucky with some tech startup, although those stories are fun to hear about.
Right.
Robbins actually gives this really great example of a UPS worker, Theodore Johnson.
Okay.
This guy built a multi-million-dollar portfolio on a UPS salary.
Wait, hold on. A UPS worker. Millions. All right, now you have to tell me more. What's the secret?
Consistency. He committed to investing 20% of every single paycheck.
Wow.
Mostly in UPS stock, actually. And over decades, that small but steady investment, mixed with the magic of compounding, turned into a life-changing amount of wealth. He understood it wasn't about hitting the jackpot. It was about consistent effort and letting time do its thing.
Wow, that's incredible. Like, slow and steady wins the race, but for your finances.
Exactly.
Which goes back to what you were saying about changing our mindset, right?
Yeah.
From consumer to investor.
100%. See, Robbins talks about this too. It's not about deprivation when you save. It's about building what he calls a freedom fund.
A freedom fund. I like the sound of that.
Right. It gives you options, the power to make choices that align with what you value.
Not just hoarding cash under the mattress, but making it work towards a bigger goal.
Exactly. And this connects perfectly with something Housel talks about in The Psychology of Money. He says, your financial plan needs to match your identity, your values. If it doesn't, it's way harder to succeed in the long run.
So, it's not just about wanting to be rich. It's about knowing why.
Yes. Are you driven by security? Adventure? Leaving a legacy? Your financial plan should reflect those values.
So you're not just chasing every hot stock tip or trying to keep up with what everyone else is doing.
Exactly. Which, by the way, is a recipe for disaster, according to Housel.
Yeah, you'll get pulled in a million directions.
Make sure.
But to actually do this, to align your money with your values, you need to know how money works.
Right. Absolutely. Both Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and The Psychology of Money emphasize this. You have to become financially literate. It's not enough to just earn. You have to understand the rules of the game.
It's like, yeah, you can play Monopoly without reading the instructions, but you're probably going to lose.
Probably, yeah.
You got to learn the ins and outs. What are the different ways you can invest? What are the risks? And don't be afraid to ask questions.
So true.
And this is where Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I think, really shakes things up. Especially Kiyosaki's ideas about what truly counts as an asset.
Right. Like how some things we think are assets are really
liabilities in disguise.
Yeah.
Now that's interesting. Give me an example.
A house, for example.
A house.
Yeah. People think, my house, that's my biggest asset. But Kiyosaki would say, for a lot of people, it's actually a liability.
Wait, how can my house be a liability? It's mine. I own it.
It's about the cash flow, right? You might own it, but are you constantly pouring money into it?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's the mortgage and the property taxes and upkeep and repairs.
Exactly. So is it putting money in your pocket or taking it out?
Okay. Yeah, I see what you mean. Suddenly those HGTV shows don't seem so glamorous when you think about it like that.
Right. It's about shifting your perspective.
Yeah.
And this goes back to one of the core ideas in Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah.
You want assets, things that generate income, things that put money in your pocket.
Like rental properties or stocks that pay dividends.
Exactly. Or maybe you've got a side hustle that brings in some extra cash. It's about creating those multiple streams of income, diversifying how you build wealth. And this links back to what Robbins calls asset allocation.
Asset allocation.
It's not just about investing. It's about knowing where to put your money so it works best for you.
Not putting all your eggs in one basket, even if it feels safe.
Exactly. Robbins highlights the all seasons portfolio as a way to balance risk and reward.
Okay, I've heard of that, but what is it exactly? How does it work?
So it's this strategy developed by Ray Dalio, and it suggests having a mix of stocks that's for growth, potential bonds for stability, and then some gold and commodities.
Commodities, like barrels of oil.
Well, not necessarily barrels, but yes, things like oil, precious metals, agricultural products, that sort of thing. The idea is that they can act as a hedge against inflation.
So it's like having a diversified financial wardrobe.
Yes. You're dressed for any kind of economic weather. If one area of the market takes a hit, other parts of your portfolio might be doing just fine or even growing.
Makes sense. So you're not making rash decisions based on short-term market swings. You're playing the long game.
Exactly.
And isn't that where the whole compound interest thing comes in?
100%. Both Robbins and Housel are all about that compound interest magic.
Yeah, okay. I know I should understand compound interest, but to be honest, it's always seemed a bit like, I don't know, like a magic trick or something. How does it actually work?
Okay, imagine you invest, let's say, $100. And it earns you a 10% return. So now you have $110.
Right.
But here's the thing, the next year, that 10% isn't just earned on your original 100, it's earned on the whole $110.
Oh, I see.
So even if you don't put any more money in, you're earning more because your money is growing on top of itself. That's the snowball effect.
It's like that saying, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today.
Exactly. And Housel has this great example in his book. He talks about Warren Buffett.
Oh, right. Like the ultimate example of compound interest. Didn't he earn most of his wealth after he turned 60 or something?
That's right. Which just shows that consistency, patience, it really pays off in the long run. You don't need to time the market perfectly or chase quick wins.
It's that long game again. So much harder to do when we're constantly bombarded with instant gratification, though, right?
Definitely. And it brings up another big thing that both Kiyosaki and Housel talk about: risk.
Risk, yeah, that's a word that can make even experienced investors like break out in a cold sweat.
For sure.
But Kiyosaki, he seems to be all about taking risks, at least calculated ones. So how does that fit in with this whole long-term wealth building thing?
Well, Kiyosaki, he really challenges that traditional idea of job security. He says true financial security comes from building assets, like we were talking about, and having different income streams. And taking risks, calculated risks, is part of that.
So don't be afraid to, step outside your comfort zone. Maybe start that side hustle or look into different investments you haven't considered before.
Exactly. It's about taking control, not just relying on a paycheck. And this is important, Kiyosaki's clear about this. These have got to be calculated risks.
Right. Not just jumping off a cliff and hoping you can fly. Do your research. Understand what could go wrong.
Exactly. And this is where Housel brings in something really interesting in the psychology of money luck.
Oh, right. He talks about how we can't control everything, like good luck or bad luck. It's part of the journey.
Absolutely. And acknowledging that, it helps us be more, humble and realistic. It's not always about having the perfect strategy or even just being super skilled.
Right. Sometimes it's just being in the right place at the right time or the wrong place.
Exactly.
So how do we prepare for that? For those unexpected things life throws at us?
That's where Housel's idea of being financially unbreakable comes in.
Okay.
It's like having this financial cushion, right? Savings, a diversified approach, all that stuff we've been talking about. It means when those curveballs come, and they will come.
Like a job loss or medical bills or even just your car breaking down.
Exactly. You're prepared. You can handle it.
It's that peace of mind, knowing that you're going to be okay no matter what happens.
Exactly. And that, I think, is a huge part of what financial freedom really means. It's not just about having a ton of money. It's about the security, the options that come with knowing you're financially stable.
It's about freedom from worry.
Exactly.
And that takes us back to that really important idea that all three of these experts talk about in their own way, aligning your money with what you value.
100%.
So before we even get to investment strategies or building that money machine,
right,
we've got to define what financial freedom actually means for us.
What are your dreams, your goals, what's important to you?
Exactly. Because being rich means something different to everyone, right? For some people, it might be early retirement, traveling into the world.
Oh, right.
For someone else, maybe it's about knowing their family is taken care of.
For sure, or giving back to their community.
Yes. It's about figuring out your own financial roadmap. And that takes us back to that question that Robbins asks at the end of his book, Money, Master the Game.
Ooh, yeah. What will your financial legacy be?
It really makes you think bigger, It's not just about the money itself.
It's about the impact you can have.
Yeah, the opportunities you can create for yourself and others. That's a powerful thought to end on.
Absolutely.
So as you're working towards your own version of financial freedom, remember this. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Take it one step at a time.
Start with your mindset. Learn about money. And never underestimate what you can achieve with consistent action, even if it's just small steps every day. Because as we've seen from Robbins and Kiyosaki and Housel, those small steps over time can lead to amazing things.